So Windows 10, what makes it so different from prior versions of Windows, and really what is it that IT administrators would need to know about it?
Yeah, so Windows 10 sort of departs from the past in that we built an operating system, we rolled it out. We waited about 2 years and then we rolled out some new features and we called it a service pack. So with Windows 10 we've moved away from that methodology and rather we apply more of an agile methodology, which means that every 18 months we will release a new build number, and that new build number is almost like that service pack, but we've rolled the features in up until there and then we've added more features on top. And so that's really important for an IT administrator and IT manager to be thinking about as these 18-month cycles roll on. Where am I in my planning, where am I, and am I ready for when that next feature update or next build number comes out?
And to be fair, I mean, there are a lot of different versions and editions of Windows 10. It's hard to make sense of it all at times. I guess what makes the education version of Windows 10 so superior and classroom suitable, I suppose?
Sure, so we have a couple of different editions that we can apply to our education customers, and two of those that stand out are Windows 10 Pro Education and Windows 10 Education. And so one is more suited, I guess, for our small to medium sized customers, and one more our enterprise size, large departments of education. The features that are in both are very similar. There are some differences, but a lot of them more relate around being ready for an enterprise. So things being able to domain join, things like being able to deploy applications through an MDM solution like Intune. But also the ability to roll in education-specific features, turn things like Cortana on or off if that's something that the organisation wants to do, and be able to use features like the Take a Test app that's part of the Windows 10 education offering.
So that feature you mentioned there, so you mentioned that there's a few features very specific for classrooms, suitable for classrooms, like a Take a Test app. What does it provide for in terms of a teacher or a business decision maker audience?
Sure, so the Take a Test app is a great way of entering a kiosk or a lockdown part of the operating system, which will allow a teacher to push a student to a particular link, and then they can go through and take a test in that sort of lockdown environment. So think about things like cut and paste being disabled, things like the on-screen keyboard not being allowed to show up, but also things like screen monitoring. And it's a really great way to run testing in between your exams. So if it's a Monday morning and you want to do a test on who's doing well in a topic of maths, you can create a quiz in Microsoft Forms, you can share a link down via OneNote to all of your students, they can press a button and enter this kiosk mode or this lockdown mode and be able to take that test. And you can do that with confidence of knowing that the students are not able to go and copy and paste, they can't refer to their notes. And so it's a really quick and easy way to take those kind of assessments.
Well, I mean, that's a phenomenal feature, and I can certainly see it being practical and used in a classroom setting. I suppose a lot of schools have that constraint where the parents make a decision around what device students choose to bring into the classroom, and there's that whole BYOD conversation that goes alongside what version of Windows 10 might be appropriate. How would you tackle that one, or what would be your guidance or advice on whether the retail version of Windows is suitable for a classroom, or how does an IT administrator get around that?
So a couple of things come to mind around the editions and BYO and choose your own device programs. One of the big changes and challenges but sometimes that an IT manager needs to think about is making sure they've got the right edition. And that comes down to Windows 10 Home, which is predominantly what we see in our retail environments, not necessarily being ready for the entire school life cycle. So it will have limitations around some of the things that an admin can do. But in saying that, there are some options there for admin to either upgrade the license or move to a perpetual license that allows the student to move to Windows 10 Education. This is really important, especially for our enterprise licensed customers who are able to use a student use benefit to get a Windows 10 edition or Education edition for their students via a third party called Cavuto.
Okay. And I guess what about the fleets or the devices in schools now that are running on legacy systems and operating systems? What would your suggestion be for them? Why upgrade to Windows 10? Is there an urgency, or is it something that can wait?
Yeah, so there's definitely an urgency around moving, and a lot of that relates both to feature but also security and safety. When we talk about Windows 10, we talk about our most secure and safe operating system, and that really is true. A lot of the antivirus, anti-malware, anti-phishing attack, all those features and those real massive security updates have happened in Windows 10. So it is very urgent, and I would really encourage IT managers to definitely be looking at how long it's going to take them to get to that point in time where they're comfortable to be on a Windows 10 build. And there are a lot of methods and deployments in place and options in place that will make it really quick and easy for Windows 7 and Windows 8.1 users to move to Windows 10. Those will vary on the environment, and we've got a lot of documentation around how you can do this, which we can share the link to.
Yeah, and I suppose you make mention around the deployment options. There are several of them available. Can you elaborate on some of those options?
Yeah, so the options do vary a bit. It could be using an MDM manager like Intune to change a product key in terms of moving from a different edition, or it could be using our deployment toolkits. It could be using an existing System Center configuration manager environment. It really would depend, but again, I'd sort of reference IT managers to go and look at our documentation, which is available at docs.microsoft.com/education, and then click the Windows 10 for Education tab. There's lots of information there. It's been designed specifically for school IT managers to read through, so it's the right information for that audience.
Brilliant. And then I guess the other thing that IT managers consistently contend with is that change management for teachers and students alike to really get their heads around this new format or operating system that Windows 10 provides, especially if they're coming from something as legacy as Windows 7 or even Windows 8 to some respect. What would be your best advice or recommendation around getting over that hurdle?
So when it comes to predictability and change management, there's a lot of advantages to Windows 10. A lot of those come down to the fact that we've moved to this agile methodology. We've also moved to this predictable build cycle. So it means that every September and in every March of a year, we're going to see 2 feature updates of Windows, so 1 in each of those month categories approximately. And then we'll also see an Office Pro Plus or Office 365 Pro Plus build release in February and August. And they're timed around the same time as the Windows builds. So we've got that level of predictability for our IT community. And what that will enable our IT community in schools to do is plan their PD, plan their change management around those dates. They'll be able to beta test and see what's coming and be able to plan around being able to do PD. Now, for us, that's great, and they'll be able to then leverage a lot of the resources that we have available to them, be that our educator community or be that one of our learning consultants that are out in the field, either through Microsoft or through one of our partners.
Well, thanks, Jesse. I believe that's provided IT managers with a lot of information and at least a place to start to investigate Windows 10 a bit further. I guess just before you leave us, any wise words of wisdom and any practical advice that we may want to depart?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few more things that I'd call out, and some of those being things like View Mixed Reality, which is one of our new features, but also taking the time to look at the digital linking side of Windows 10, and really you would then see, there's a lot in that operating system, there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot of really classroom-ready features. And obviously the documentation, I can't stress how important that is and how detailed it is. So docs.microsoft.com/education is a fantastic resource, constantly updated, and I can't really sing its praises highly enough.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you.